really the reason why we do things. Right? In the end, what we want is to build something that's truly effective, something that really reaches out to people, and we want to be able to tell our clients, look, this is what I can do. You know, both of the speakers that came before here really talked about, you know, the outreach, but really nothing's better besides the outreach, right? Is showing a client, look at your web stats, look at the analytics, look how many follows you got on Twitter, look how many likes you got on Facebook, because that's power, that's influence. Right? And analytics is the one that's going to tell people, is going to communicate that story to these people, right? I wanted to call it something cooler than this, you know. This is Pavan's fault, you know. I wanted to call it something like analytics ate my baby, or something creepy like the data made me do it, but he wouldn't let me, and I'm going to let him, you know, as an homage to him, I left it the way it was, right? So where are we going with this talk? We're going to talk about data, and we're going to talk about analytics, and we're going to talk about how to use them. Because in the end, what we want to do is we want to create a process for making data-driven decisions. When you make a decision for your website, when you make a decision for your campaign, what you want to do is make sure that it's backed by the data. So what's the difference between these two, right? Data is the constant stream of information that your analytics is collecting, right? This could be anything. It could be, you know, the last page you went to, how long you spent on a website, how many people retweeted your post. It could be anything. So that is that stream. And analytics is the tool that people use to make sense of all the data, right? Because we get tons and tons of data all day long. You're giving data to people all day long, right? Your cell phone is basically transmitting data to people all day long. We've collected more data in the last 10 years than we have the rest of our history as human beings. That's how much data there is out there now. We have so much data, we don't even know what to do with it most of the time. So when you go out and you read all these articles about big data, this is what they're talking about. We're talking about huge amounts of data that we cannot make any sense of. And this is it's spurred basically like not a new science, but it's revived a science called data science. Right? And this is being able to take all these huge amounts of data, disparate, right? Because you want to be able to connect different types of data and to create good insights about a product, a people, a trend, do predictive analysis as far as, you know, what to expect the next couple of years. You know, there's one company right now I was reading because of the earthquake in Nepal, right? And they were talking about how they can predict with 90% certainty where the next earthquake is going to happen. 90%. And to me, that's amazing, right? Because literally 5 years ago, it was guesswork. You know, it was, you know, we can, whatever. But with 90% certainty, they can tell you when the next earthquake's going to happen. So, like I said, websites are collecting information, social media, whenever you send out an email, your mobile devices. By the way, do you see this very fancy little presentation? Graphic River, $12. You can download it and use it on your own, you know. Yeah, Graphic River, that's a Grafaphic. Tell them Renee sent you. We'll be good, right? So why are analytics important? Number one, you want your website to work for you, right? Most people and every client that I've ever had always thought of a website and they think of it as a static thing, like a business card, something that you put up and you don't change. You know, that might have been true 15 years ago. Right? But in today's world, a website is dynamic. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing, right? It tells you what your visitors are doing. And that's all that data can do. All it can really tell me is, you know, this is what they did on your website. You want to know that, right? It measures how well your site is working. Because in the end, you want your data to reflect your objectives. So we talked about Google Analytics. This is what it looks like. When you open up Google Analytics, and let me tell you, Google is free, so everyone can have it, right? Like anything else with Google, it's free. As a matter of fact, I'm starting my own religion. My students will tell you that it's, you know, the Church of Google, and I'm going to be the high priest, and you guys could be all my disciples of Google, of Googleness, right? Google that shit is going to be my first T-shirt. That's what it's going to be, right? Don't know the answer? Really, it answers every question you have. Anything. You know, what time is it in Bangladesh? Boom. It's amazing. right? I went to Catholic school for 12 years and I never got the response from my God. But Google gives it to me. All right, so this is what Google Analytics looks like. You can see that it tells you more or less how many people visited your site in a day. And it gives you in the beginning, the first page, gives you what we call the foundational metrics. This is what we what we take and give like a general health of what our website is doing. Right? We got visits, unique visitors. There we go, right? Visits. This is how many times your site has been visited. And I'm talking, like if I visited 10 times, it'll count all 10 times, right, of me visiting the site. So it counts all the visits with no discrimination, right? So all the different sessions that happen. If we go to unique visitors, this tells me how many different people came to visit my site. So I may have 1,000 visits, but only 300 unique visitors, right? Because there's 300 visitors visited the site 1,000 times. Let's say. Then we have page views. How many pages did they see? If you're a blog, it's really important that you want as many page views as possible. You want people to stay on your site, right? If you're a business, maybe you're not so concerned about how many pages they visit as long as they get to your services page, right? So it all depends on your site, your different objectives that we're going through. Pages per visit, right? I kind of mixed that up there, right? Page views is how many pages. Page views is how many pages they viewed. Pages per visit is how many pages one person would visit at a time. Average visit duration, how long did they spend on your site? And the bounce rate is how many people visited your site, did not like it, and left. Right? And lastly, the percentage of new visits. You know, how many new people have come to visit your site? And this happens over trends. So you're going to watch for trends inside the analytics to see what's going on. Now, these are the foundational ones that we're talking about. So if I was worried about awareness, about creating more awareness about my product, which of these would I be looking at? Go ahead, hazard a guess. Unique visitors, right? That would be one that I would be looking at. I'd be going, okay, how many unique visitors have come to my site, right? That have never been to my site before. What's another one that I can look at? Percentage of new visits, right? How many of those are brand new, right? So when you're when you're signing up when you're trying to create objectives for your site, what you want to do is say, okay, well, I want more awareness for my site. The way I will do it is that I'm going to, do a social media campaign that links back to my site, right? And at that point, I can go ahead and say what I want to see is a rise in unique visitors and a rise in new visits, right? But then you're going to ask yourself, by how much? 5%, 10%, 20%? Give yourself a goal, right? Which is what we'll talk about next. Your measurement plan, right? We talked about, I think every speaker here talked about objectives. Every campaign we do is about our objectives, right? Everything we do has to match what we want for our company. And I'm a big follower of design, right? And design doesn't necessarily have to be art. It doesn't have to be fashion. It doesn't have to be graphic or anything. Design can also be about solutions, right? So for me, design really means a move from a current state to a desired state. That's what design means to me, right? This is where I'm at now. Where do I want to be? And design is that process you use to get to that point. So design has a process. Artists will tell you they have their own process as well, right? They don't just come up with stuff. It's iterative. They try stuff. They fail. They come back. They do it again until they find something that works for them. In this case, when it comes to your measurement plan, you're going to do the same thing. We talked about the awareness plan, right? What's another objective a business can have besides awareness, getting out there? Retention, getting people to stay, right? Getting people to continue patronizing your site, right? So that could be our objective. Overall business objective is retention. We want people to stay, right? The goals. So at that point, you're going to say, well, how exactly am I going to do that? It could be create better content on the site. That could be the goal. I'm going to create better content so people stay on my site. It could be offering a loyalty program, right? Could be that. So we have our goals. So we're going to do that, and then we go from there to the KPIs. Now, how are we going to measure this in particular, right? If we talk about content marketing, it could be time spent on the site, right? Or recency. We can actually measure how many times one person comes to visit your site over and over again, right? We can measure recency. That could be a KPI. A KPI is a key performance indicator. And that means that, remember that I said we can collect thousands of different data points on a website, right? But we can't concentrate on all of them. So we pick 2 or 3 that matter to us the most. Ergo, key performance, right? These are the ones that are going to tell me I'm doing well or I'm not doing well. And then from there, we target. We get, so again, now that these are the performance indicators, now what number am I going to use to tell me that it's been successful or not successful? Is it going to be 20% more, 30% more? Is it going to be 5 page views per visit? Is it going to be the person visiting me once every week, right? If you're Facebook, the average millennial visits their Facebook page 48 times a day. 48, right? Isn't that crazy? You know, and I see it happening all the time. You know, I think I checked twice while I was here. I'm not even a millennial, right? But you see people in line at the grocery store, they check their Facebook. I see people on a stop sign, they check their Facebook, right? So I see people in the metro rail, no one even looked at us. They were on their Facebook, right? So they're checking their Facebook. My students, they don't listen to me. Facebook, right? Everything's on there, right? And the extra step that you can take is to identify valuable segments. Because besides the foundational metrics that I'm talking about, it tells you so much more. Fancy. I'm telling you, I love this. All right, good. It'll tell you where you're searching from. I can tell what country people are looking at my site from, right? So you can get, obviously most of us will have traffic from the United States, but also tell you if you have traffic from Haiti, from Colombia, from Europe, from wherever, right? The second thing, language setting on the browser. It'll tell you what language their browser is set on. So if it'll tell you if it's English, Russian. For some reason, I get a lot of Russian. No idea why, right? Russian, German, right? Which browser you're using. It'll tell you if you're using Safari, if you're using Chrome, God forbid, Internet Explorer, Firefox, right? Which device you're using. Are you on a mobile phone? Are you on a laptop? Are you on a desktop, right? Not only that, it'll tell you which mobile phone you're using. Are you an iPhone? Are you on a Samsung? It'll tell you that, right? It's crazy. It's pretty creepy. You know privacy is dead, right? Okay, good. As long as you guys know that and feel it in your heart that privacy is no longer a thing of reality. It is just a dream that we'll never have again, right? Okay, good. Other metrics. Just want to point these out to you because it's crazy what they could tell. Operating system. You know, are you on the Android operating system? Are you on an iOS operating system? Windows. It'll tell you the keywords that were used to find you. So if someone typed in, you know, scarf and got to your site, it'll tell you that's the keyword that you used to get to you. Right? This is really important information because if you can know what people are typing in to find you, you can continue to optimize for those keywords so they get to see you again. Right? Where the traffic came from. Did it come from Twitter? Did it come from a search engine? Did people type it in directly into the browser? All this information is for you to use, right? In order to really narrow down who your customer is and then create web pages that keep them there, right? That keep them coming to your site over and over again. Okay, the other websites. And I call these the other websites because they're extensions of who we are now. At this point, every business is involved in social media in one way or another. Most of my clients, when I build their website, I ask them what social media they'll be on. They'll tell me everything. I want to be on every single social media there is, right? And I'll tell them, no, not all of them, just some of them, right? And what you really have to take care of, who is your customer, right? If you're dealing with fashion, for instance, you know, definitely Instagram, right? It's basically the fastest growing. Well, actually, Snapchat's growing even faster at this point. I think Snapchat is now number 2. It beat out number 3. It beat out Twitter already among millennials. So if I was doing fashion and I was selling to a younger demographic, I would definitely do Snapchat and definitely do Instagram. Those would be my biggest, places to show my work. If I was going more into, let's say, moms and dads, and let's say older millennials with families, I would move on to Facebook. Right? Facebook is where they share with their families and to post pictures of their children and the videos of their tap dancing recital that no one watches. Louis C.K. has a great skit on that. If you ever get a chance to see it, I recommend it highly. All right. If you're dealing with businesses, obviously LinkedIn is where you want to go. So depending on your audience, depending who you're trying to sell to, you pick which ones serve your target market. Right? So I usually say, because remember that when it comes to social media, to make it effective, you have to post all the time. Literally, it's a full-time job. It is. I struggle, and I don't struggle, but every single day I got to find time. I got to post 3 things to Twitter every single day. And I got to go on there and I got to do it. Hootsuite, which was mentioned before, a great tool because you can plan out the entire week, schedule it out, and it'll just post for you, right? But sometimes you want to be really timely. And so, you do the search, Google search, and I go the last 24 hours and I try to pick something that happened in the last 24 hours and I post it up there, right? And then sharing other people's work and building your network. But all this takes time. And to be on social media, you really have to spend a lot of time building these relationships. So you don't want to be on everything. You want to be in the things that serve you the most, right? Definitely, when it comes to women, Pinterest is almost number 1. 76% of Pinterest users are women, right? It was 96% just last year. But men started catching on, I guess, and now they're on it too, right? Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Video has consistently been has the biggest conversion rate of any media you can get, right? If you want to sell something, if you want to teach something, if you want to do anything, video is number 1. I see it in my students. No one ever Googles, how to use Photoshop and read about it, right? They Google how to use Photoshop and they watch a video about it. So content, video content, super important. It speaks to this new generation in a big way, and I think to every generation because it's much better. You get to hear it, you get to see it, right? And if you want to read about it, you buy the book, right? But if you want to do something quick, this is the way to go, right? So all of these, every single one has ways that you can go ahead and check the analytics, right? For let's say, I think for Instagram they have Icon Square that gives you analytics on your Instagram account. I think it's free, right? Pinterest has their own analytics. YouTube has analytics built into it already. LinkedIn is amazing with the analytics, right? It tells you who visited your profile. It tells you how many times, how close you are to the people you want to meet. Let's say if I decide, I want to meet Bill Gates, right? I'll go on LinkedIn and see if Bill Gates is there, and it'll tell me a path of who I need to meet in order to get to him, right? Which is amazing, So on a national level, of course, there's a little work, but on a local level, look how easy it is to meet the people that you want to get to know, right? You know someone already that knows that person that you want to get to know, and they can introduce you to that person. I've done that already like at least 5 times when I wanted to meet someone, right? Which is why I'm going to the eMerge conference in May. Yes. See? All right. Facebook has their own analytics. You can see all this, and all this is just information to see how well you're doing. How well are your campaigns working, right? When you have goals and when you have targets for your goals, this is really not easy work, but it's manageable work because your whole decision-making process is that I reach my target. If I didn't reach my target, I go back and I say, okay, what did I do wrong? Where can I change it? And I redo it again, right? And we go over and over. It's a cycle that you're just constantly working on until you find your sweet spot when it comes to reaching out to your target audience. Right? Email. Email is still the second best way to market. Number 1 on the internet is SEM, which is search engine marketing, which is, the ads on Google and the ads on Yahoo. That's number 1. Second is email. Email has an ROI, I think in 2010 they did a study, it was $48 for every dollar you spend on email. So if you spent $1 in email and you did it well, you can expect at least $48 back. Right? Still very strong. Now, email has amazing analytics. How many of you use vertical response or MailChimp or one of those things, right? You can go back and you could check out, number one, which emails are good or bad, right? The bounces, the ones that didn't accept, right? 2, how many people opened your email? You could tell. How many people clicked on a link on your email? It'll tell you. How many people unsubscribed? It will tell you, and then tell you who, so you can go ahead and send them from another email and tell them how much you hate them, right? Click to deliver rate. So you could get a rate on how many emails you delivered that people actually clicked on, right? How many people actually completed something? Did they buy something? Did they download something? Did they sign up for a subscription for something else, right? The average revenue per email, and all this analytics is available to you. It's there for you. You can even connect your Gmail analytics to your email and get that information as well. So setting this up, literally in 4 hours, you can set yourself up with a huge data generating machine on your website, right? And this will give you the insights. Well, not give you the insights. Once you dig through the data, right, it'll let you discover the insights that's gonna make your business special, that's gonna make your business work better for your customer, and it'll let you basically customize the experience, because in the end, what people want is a good experience with their website, a good experience with how they're being marketed to. All right, so remember that analytics is there to help you make sense of what your customer is doing. And I think if you learn anything here today, know that data can only tell you what they're doing, the analytics, right? It doesn't tell you why they're doing it. And this is something that we have to figure out. Why are they acting this way? Why are they starting the shopping process and then abandon the cart here? You know, I want to know why, right? My analytics tells me that's what they're doing, but now I have to find out why they're doing it. Why are people just coming to my site and leaving right away? My bounce rate is way too high or something, right? Why are they doing that? I have to find out. The analytics will point me in a direction, but it's still up to me to go on there and explore it and find a solution for it. And that's it. All right, so my name is Rene Alvarez. Again, I'm a professor at Miami International University. I teach in the advertising department. I have basically a consulting company called Datadu. And if you need to reach me, all my information is there.